Hello, thanks for clicking on the link to watch a short video into a practice management. It's a web-based solution here, and I'm going to be covering just right now in the next few minutes going to the My Expenses tab, cataloging some mileage, and sending that over to QuickBooks. Let's say Rockcastle Construction, and I'm going to do mileage. Let's say it was 100 miles, round trip for the work I did. I went out and did a QuickBooks cleanup or something like that, right? Payroll processing, implementation, what have you. I go ahead and save it. And you can here choose to make it not reimbursable or not to charge the master client, but in this case I am going to be creating to show a bill, or at least to show the bill in QuickBooks, and then I can invoice it from QuickBooks if I want. If not, then I would check the box, but just to show you this ability here. Click Save, and then I'm going to submit the expense, and you can name it or not. And it's going to process really quickly. And once it's done, and of course you don't have to wait for the status, I could just go to Time and Billing and go to Manage Time and Expenses. And here I'm going to go ahead and post expense. So I had posted expense already before. I'll just do the same thing. Here's my expense. Now the key thing here is that the practice management, which uses Big Time, is looking for a vendor. In this case, I put in staff expenses as a vendor, and on the practice management side, when I go to the admin, just for setup, and I go to users and click more under the vendor is where I'm going to choose staff expenses. And here this would be for time stuff. We'll talk about that later. But so just so you guys know that particular setup, and then of course I went in and linked the expense code for mileage, to travel expense, which is from the chart of accounts in my QuickBooks file. So you have those two things to make sure you have set up, and then of course you submit the expense from your dashboard, and for the mileage or meals and entertainment, what have you. And then finally you go to collect it and then post it. So here is that expense I'm going to submit, and go ahead and click Post. And again, this is a processing window. You can move on and do other things like go back to the dashboard, go run a report, go invoice a client, what have you. But what I'm trying to do is just show the expense in QuickBooks. So I'm just going to go and hang on the dashboard and leave practice management for a second. Now, how it integrates over to QuickBooks is, we have this sync manager. Right? It's linked to my file, and if I look at the company info, this is my login to practice management. Right, and here's where the file's located, and that's how it knows, based on the login to both, which file to go to. And in this case, going to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sync Now. Now I can set this up automatically, and you'll be seeing the Sync Manager throughout my short videos for practice management because it comes into play with QuickBooks. Obviously, this is what pulls it from the cloud into QuickBooks from practice management. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sync Now. I manually sync it because I'm in and out of various files. However, under the options, I could set up some automatic syncing options, everywhere from 5 minutes to 24 hours. So watch, notice my staff expenses changed, $101, and I can just close that for now. Here's a bill that just came in, and notice it is billable, so I could go. Why that matters is because in QuickBooks, time and expense, there is ability to create invoices from a list of time and expense. Right. So, or I could do it directly from the invoice, but if I were to go to here and then invoice for time and expense, there's my expenses that I could then throw on an invoice if I haven't already invoiced them out of practice management. However, what if you don't want this box to be checked, right? Because this is just non-reimbursable. Then in practice management, when you go back to the admin tab, and it is under QuickBooks Sync Settings, post expenses as billed. If this box is checked, then the billable box on the bill in QuickBooks, when it shows up in practice management, will be unchecked. So you will not see all this time or expense being waiting to be invoiced against for a client. So it's really up to you how you want to do it, but practice management can solve for it. Hope that was helpful. Have a great day.